Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I hope that you are having a great day. You are on the African Diaspora News Channel, so welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to give everybody just a moment to come on here before we get started. But I should say that we are talking about Trump fat shaming Al Sharpton and calling for the FCC to be investigated over Al Sharpton's show. Now we'll get into all of the particulars. It's quite funny and not funny all at the same time. Of course, I'll be here with you for about a half an hour. It's going to go by so fast, I swear. But anyway, I'm going to get the first 15 minutes or so, and then I'm going to give y'all the next 15 minutes as I will go into the comment section and read all. Oh, I'm going to try anyway. Read all of the comments because I love to have a conversation with you all to see how you feel about what we're going to be talking about and all of that. Anyway, Michael Brown, how you doing? Hope that you are doing well. And again, as we wait, Troy, what's up with you? As we wait, I just want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to download the African Diaspora News Channel app. You can go to your Play Store on your phone and get it. It's so easy to do. We ask that you invest in that as, these platforms that are not owned by us are kind of shaky. So we don't have any decision-making processes at all as to what goes on with it. But with our own app, we can say and do whatever we want, right? So if you haven't already done that, please do it right away. Anyway, got about another 30 seconds or so before I finish my tap dance, right? Because the last thing I want is for somebody to come on here talking about what are we talking about. Hey, Cynthia, how you doing? But I want to say this too, okay? I feel like I need to say this. I am not a Trump supporter, okay? I want to repeat. I am not a Trump supporter because I know somebody's going to come on here. You're a Trump supporter, right? And, I really try my hardest to behave myself because I don't want to say like something like your mom's a Trump supporter. So please do not call me a Trump supporter. I am nonpartisan, which means that I do not align myself with the Democrats or the Republicans at all. So I feel like I kind of need to say that because of what we're going to be talking about. So anyway, now that we've gotten that out the way, let's go ahead and get started. So anyway, it wasn't yesterday, but it was the day before. The day before, President Trump, as you guys know, he tweets and he goes on his Truth Social and he posts quite a bit. And I don't know, for whatever reason, he felt like he needed to say something about Al Sharpton. Now, it should be said that Al Sharpton, I should say Reverend Al Sharpton, is probably one of his most staunch, opponents, if you will. Al Sharpton talks a lot about him and is not good. Anyway, this is what the tweet said. So as you see, this is not a picture that I came up with, right? It's not my choice. This was Trump's choice of picture for Al Sharpton. As y'all know, Al Sharpton lost quite a bit of weight. From what I understand, at his highest, he was, about 325, give or take. I mean, he was a pretty hefty guy, right? But now it says he weighs like 129 pounds, which is really small. So anyway, that's what Trump put up. So anyway, he says, I knew Al Sharpton for many years. Not that it matters, but he was a major, because I could see him going like that, major Trump fan. He'd ask me to go to his fake rallies all the time because I brought big crowds and he couldn't get anybody to come without me. Then he did the Tawana Brawley hoax, one of the worst low-level scams in history, and that set him back big time. Then he got to know Brian Roberts, chairman of Fake News NBC, who gave him what would become one of the lowest rated shows in television history. Roberts is afraid to take him off because it wouldn't be rather politically correct. This is just one of the many reasons that the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, should look into the license of NBC, which shows almost exclusively positive Democrat content. Likewise, ABC, fake news, about the same thing, 97% negative to Republicans. Okay, so there's a few things here, right? So first, he points out that Al Sharpton was a major fan. Now, I'm going to show y'all something to kind of back that up in just a bit. So then, of course, he talked about the Tawana Brawley situation. Of course, you guys know that happened in 1987 in New York, where Tawana Brawley, who was 15 at the time, accused 4 white men of doing something very heinous to her. And I won't repeat all that because it's pretty bad. Nevertheless, a grand jury in 1988 decided that she was not telling the truth. In fact, and I want to say in fact, because this is what they came up with, because there are many people who believe that Tawana was innocent. I don't know. But anyway, they said that she was in trouble with her mom and her stepmom or something, and she more than likely made that up to, I guess, not be punished or something like that. So anyway, Al Sharpton was one of the ones, along with the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Don King, Bill Cosby. They were all heavily involved. They donated money. They were marching a whole lot of things. But Al Sharpton took up the lead, if you will. And so he's kind of been connected to that of Tawana lying per se. I'm not saying she is, but that's what they said. Then, of course, he, being Trump, says, well, okay, well, that didn't work out for him. And he kind of got in trouble. So then he gets to Brian Roberts, who let him go on MSNBC. So it's not actually NBC, it's MSNBC. You guys know he has Politics Nation, Al Sharpton. So he's been on there for a couple of years now. And so I don't know how the ratings are doing, but Trump says low. But at the end there, where he talks about all this fake news and stuff, we know that the Trump administration is doing a good job. And I don't say good, I mean as far as good, but getting into these media places, if you will, like CBS. There's a new chairperson or something like that there who's supposed to be bringing in more MAGA right-wing content. So it sounds like he's wanting the same thing for MSNBC, NBC, ABC, but now he wants the FCC to look into Al Sharpton and this Brian Roberts and how he got there. Will it happen? I don't know. It might. So let's take Al Sharpton down again. He's not that size anymore. Bam. Let's remove him. Now, I want to kind of back up what Trump said as far as, Al Sharpton was a major fan. So you'll see a small little snippet, and then you'll see a couple of pictures. So here we go.
Him of diverting hundreds of thousands of dollars to his personal use after using fraud, grand larceny, and false business records to solicit funds from such diverse contributors as Don King, the boxing promoter, and Don Trump, the billionaire.
So as you see there, that is a montage, if you will, of Trump and Al Sharpton. Now, at the beginning of that, Al Sharpton found himself in a little bit of hot water. I think it was the late 80s, behind misappropriating funds that he received for his youth nonprofit that he had. So he was indicted and all that other stuff. But if you notice, they mentioned Donald Trump's name. Donald Trump gave him some money. So I would say that they were friends. And as y'all saw, there was a copious amount of photo ops, if you will. And Al Sharpton seems to be all smiles and things like that. Well, it seems like it became a time where Al Sharpton turned on Trump. Now, if I had to guess, I think it happened when Obama was running for office. Of course, Obama was a black man. And then with that, Trump was doing a whole birtherism thing, right? Saying that Obama was not born here. He's born in Kenya. And then Obama had to force, he was made rather to show his long form birth certificate to say that he was born in the United States, because I guess Trump was saying, well, he's kind of an illegitimate president because he actually wasn't born here, all of that. But nevertheless, Al did turn on Trump, even after he took his money, even though, as Trump said, he asked me to go to all these rallies. Now I looked to see if he ever attended any rallies. I couldn't find any evidence of that, not saying he never did. But yeah, even to this day, if you listen to Al Sharpton, as y'all know, I sometimes listen to his radio show and I call in and it's Trump, 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 Trump. Trump's bad. Trump's horrible. Trump's bad. So if you all are like me, I always wondered, when would there come a time where Trump would say, okay, Al, we need to have a come to Jesus moment, because we was like that, right? We was homies. We was everywhere together. You was taking my money. Everybody was wrapped up into Trump. And of course, we know, again, that changed when he started to run for president. And so there's a couple things that come to my mind. You guys might, and let me take this down. You guys might remember last week or a couple of weeks ago or so, I did a video about the Big Six, right? The Big Six. was this. So, as you can see, there's a 6 gentlemen: James Farmer, John Lewis, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, A. Philip Randolph, Roy Wilkins, and Whitney Young. They were a part of, and y'all can go back and watch the video. I won't give you everything, but they were called the Big Six, and some people said the Big Fix. Right now, Malcolm X talked about it in that they met with the John F. Kennedy administration. Now, at this time, was a civil rights movement was kind of bubbling to the top, if you will. Now, they also were involved in the March on Washington in 1963, but they were all told, hey, you all have, your own little organizations, like John Lewis has SNCC and, all the other things that they had. And they were told, listen, Negroes, because that's what they called us back then, they're very upset. They're upset. And yes, they want civil rights and everything. What y'all need to do is go back to your organizations and keep hope alive, right? Keep hope alive. Because at the time, they were wanting to lay down at the airport tarmacs and just really just do some damage, per se, to the economy. So it was said that they were giving about $1.6 million at the time between all of them to split, some up front and then some later, if they go back and pretend that, hey, we're going to be going to get civil rights. But they were really just kind of like gatekeepers to make sure that Black people in America during that time didn't do too much. And so when I think about them, I think about Al Sharpton. I think about, well, is this Big Six theory, or it's not even a theory, it's a thing, right? Is it still in play? And I think that it is right now, because I always wonder too, was Al Sharpton on the level at all? Like, was he really in the pursuit of Black empowerment? Because, he ran around with James Brown and he knew Martin Luther King as a kid and things like that. So he marched and stuff. Was he really about that life at one point in time? Or did he sell out? Now, I know you and I are thinking the same thing. It's possible that he sold out or he bought in, because we hear a lot of things that Al Sharpton is involved in. Y'all heard about him being an FBI informant, which he says, well, I wasn't really this, but I was kind of this. I was helping it. So basically, for lack of better words, it sounds like he was an FBI informant. And so was he, or is he, part of this whole little Big Six thing? I think he is. And I think the Big Six thing is still going on. Now, the last thing, of course, last week, y'all heard me talk about the cost of shilling. When I talked about that of Lincoln Perry, who was also known as Step and Fetch It, all the things that he did for the man, for white supremacy, acted a fool, was called the laziest man in the world type of thing, and it came back to bite him. So I also think about Al Sharpton. Is this where it's coming back to bite him, right? Because now Trump is really wanting to sink his teeth in him. And of course, that's kind of seems like Trump's whole thing is getting some get back on people, because Fonnie Willis, she ain't off the hook. Y'all know she was the DA, and she still is in Fulton County there in Georgia. She was tasked with going after him in regards to trying to steal the election there in Georgia. Or she hired her boyfriend, Nathan Wade, I think that's his name. Hired her boyfriend, gave him a whole bunch of money and all that. Y'all saw all the foolishness. So he's after her. He's after Letitia James. She also went after him, and she leveled that $400 and something million price tag for all the foolishness that she charged him with. And I don't know if Alvin Bragg will be next, but again, they did all that under the Biden administration and was left, out to dry, for lack of better words, because we know that Biden left there and did not protect them at all. So is Al Sharpton a benefactor, if you will, of Trump's little revenge tour? I think so. It all remains to be seen. But I also want to know, and I'm going to listen to Al Sharpton and see if he's going to change his tune. I went to see if he was talking about it at all. He wasn't talking about it, Trump saying anything about him. But I think that Trump kind of pulled his card. It's like, yo, man, you talking all this stuff about me, but yet you forget that we was homies and I gave you money, right? And then he called the rallies fake. So what does Trump know that we don't know? Were they fake? I don't know. Anyway, let me get into the comment section. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Now I will read you all's comments. It's not many, but that's okay. Anyway, D-Mac, how you doing? Hope that you are doing well. Cynthia, you say, Demetra, do you owe anybody an explanation? Yes, I feel like I do. And I'm laughing. I know I don't have to tell people that I'm not a Trump supporter. I just feel like especially doing this, you should kind of be nonpartisan. Listen, I'm talking about me. I ain't talking about nobody else. But if I can make a suggestion, I think that everybody should be nonpartisan, right? And you can support who you want to support. But when we are nonpartisan, neither party assumes our vote, right? Like the Democrats do for Black people. They know Black people gonna show up. They gonna show up to vote for us. We ain't got to promise them nothing. Again, as I said yesterday on my show, the Democrats used to promise us fish fries, no voting, no vucking. I have to really emphasize that because, but y'all know what that was supposed to say, right? The strippers to the polls, and I like did y'all remember them doing that last time? I don't remember seeing any of that. Now, yes, Kamala did have Megan Thee Stallion and she was twerking and all that other stuff, but they know that they have us as loyal voters. I don't think, and Dr. Claude Anderson said this too, there's not another group of people who vote as a block the way we do, right? White people, they vote for this or that. Hispanics, they seem like they kind of more so heavily voted for Trump last time, but more so, most other people are kind of scattered, but us, Democrats, right? Even Kamala, she got 92% of the Black woman vote, 78% of the Black man vote. So I'm saying all that to say, I don't feel like I really owe anybody an apology, but I just want to be clear that I'm not necessarily a Trump supporter. There's some things that I like that he does as far as the deportation stuff. I don't like how it's being done. I mean, clear. I sound like Kamala. Let's be clear. I don't like how it's being done, but I like that he said, hey, y'all got to go back home, right? Because we know that if Kamala was going to get in, it was going to be a continuation of what Biden was doing. And that's, come on, everybody, this way, get your phones that way, get your money that way, get your housing. So some things I like, but a lot of things I don't. So I probably confuse everybody even more. Rome, how you doing? Says, hello, it's bad nowadays. We have to work 2 jobs. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. I got a few jobs. Now, when I say jobs, I don't necessarily go punch a clock, but listen, your girl ain't above doing it. Okay. I'm not above going to punch a clock. If I need to go for somewhere for a little bit and say, eyes here, can you put me on the schedule a couple more days? I would, right? But yeah, you're right. In today's economy, people, unless you just have one of those good cushy jobs, and I don't want to say the federal jobs because they ain't getting paid right now because there's a government shutdown. So yeah, they're not getting paid. They have to wait. But a lot of people are losing their jobs. So working 2 jobs sucks, but it's what you got to do, right? Till things get better. So it is what it is. Brina, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Eddie, what's going on with you? Good morning. Good morning. David, how you doing? It says, ain't that something? Yes, it is. Miss Incognito, how you doing? It says, guess them chickens is coming home to roost. Yeah, and I even did a video about the chickens coming home to roost too. Because yeah, that's a very popular saying. The chickens are come home to roost. But the other part of that is, especially because a lot of us repeat that from Malcolm X, but there was another part of that story. He wasn't even supposed to be saying nothing like that. But yeah, in this case, I would say, yeah, Al Sharpton's got to pay the piper. Everybody does. When you selling your people out and doing things, taking money and this, that, and the other, and I'm going to say all allegedly because I don't have any first eyewitness accounts of any of this. But when you're doing that kind of stuff, you got to pay for it, And again, I'm not a Trump fan, as he says that Al Sharpton is a major Trump fan. But man, he used to be his homie. He used to be his ace. Y'all was cool as a fan and all of that. And now you romping and stomping and talking crazy. Listen, I'm quite sure that Trump and Al had some conversations, and Trump probably knows where some bodies are buried per se with Al Sharpton. I'm sure Al probably knows the same about him, but Trump is like, yeah, I don't like you anymore. And I, really not going to keep watching you talk crazy about me. So will Al Sharpton get yanked off of the air? It remains to be seen because we've seen them do it before, but I don't know. Sunlight, how you doing? Says the caption took me out. Listen, I'm not fast shaming Al because I'm not skinny, okay? But I don't look like that. But that's the picture that Trump put up there. And it's like, out of all the pictures, because come on, if you go on Al Sharpton's Instagram page, he's always taking those videos of him and you can see him, him from the back. And I'm like, are you doing that on purpose? Are you taking these videos and we can kind of see you from? So what I'm saying is, not to gross you out, but he's got a lot of pictures you could choose from. Why would you choose that one? To me, that's a fact shaming. Because, Trump has this thing with fat. Oh, my friend, he took the fat shot. The fat shot is so expensive. They need to get rid of the pricing of the fat shot. It's like, homie, you need the fat shot, okay? Somebody, he was standing up there last week talking about the generals, and at Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, talking about we're not going to have any more fat generals. It's like, well, the commander-in-chief is fat. But let me keep reading. Michelle, how you doing? Shan, what's going on with you? Albie, chill, how you doing? D-Max says our brain is constructed. He says with duality. So why wouldn't we think with duality? One-track minded people are not using their brains to its fullest potential. Shaking my head. Very true, right? It is said that we use about 4%, maybe a little bit. Now with Grok and Chat GPT now, we probably really using like 2% of our brain, but they said on average about 4%, give or take, of our brain. So yeah, we should be using a lot more of it. We shouldn't just be one-track mind, right? Or listening to one train of thought or one. We should be listening to a lot of stuff and then come together and form our own opinion. They call free thinkers, I guess. Rashonda, how you doing? So it seems like we are willing to fight harder to so many other causes but our own. Shaking my head. And we shouldn't be doing that. We should be fighting for our own causes. But guess what? This is the good news and the bad news. We ain't going to have no choice. We're going to have to fight for our own causes because ain't nobody's fighting for us. They never have. They didn't fight for our ancestors when they got off of those plantations and, built those towns and things like that. Nobody fought for them. They fought for themselves. So why can't we do it? We can. Fadine, I hope I said that right. How you doing? Says Tawana told the truth. Well, that's what they say. I don't know. I'm just telling you from a conglomerate of things that were said about Tawana. Grand jury decided that she was not telling the truth. I'm not saying she wasn't telling the truth. That's what the final ruling was. And then she was sued because it sounds like she named somebody. And I guess he had a horrible life and he sued her. I don't know what happened to that, but yeah. Sharifa, how you doing? He says, I think that trend is slowly changing for FBA folks. We are standing as independent voters more and more, and that's what we should be doing. Nobody should assume your vote. You should, and I hate those calls, by the way, in a text, but they should be, hey, we just want to see how you're going to vote. But if you say you're Democrat, they already know. We're trying to get the the undecided, right? The people in the middle, the nonpartisan, the independent. Those are the people we're trying to sway, right? That's where the difference is. If they can sway the nonpartisan, then that's kind of what wins elections, right? G Code, how you doing? Well, thank you. Cynthia says, girly, we got your back. Well, thank you. I need it. Rand, how you doing? Says Trump is like a pit bull. Some can turn on their owners just the same as Trump, who will turn on you if you do. I think you may don't do what he say or talk against him. Yeah, he's a president. He shouldn't be using the office to do that kind of stuff. But then he accused Biden of doing the same thing, right? Weaponizing the DOJ against him and all kind of stuff. But I think the truth of the matter is they all do it. They all use departments that are supposed to be independent. I think they all use it for their betterment to target people. And I would admit that Trump seems like he is doing that. He's targeting a lot of people. You dance to the music I want you to dance to. And if you don't, well, I got something for you. And you ain't going to like it, right? Albie Chill says, popsicle. Why you calling that man popsicle head? Al Sharpton. Well, he's 71. He just had a birthday and all of that. So it's not a bad idea to lose the weight. He's a big dude. Okay, he's a big dude. It's not a bad idea to lose the weight, but 129 pounds is little. I'm a woman and I wouldn't want to be 129 pounds. Y'all would be like, Demetra needs an intervention at 129 pounds because she probably... But, to each his own, right? He's probably healthier. Sunlight says a Trump diaper is a 3X. You think he got a... I don't even want that vision in my mind. I rebuke it. But yeah, Trump is not a little dude. He's old too. He'll be 80 this year. Next year, I don't know when he'll be 80. But yeah, he's an old dude. But them standing up there calling people fat is like, is your mirror broken? You know, you're not streamlined, as the older people would say. You know, Trump got a little weight on him. It was crazy. David says a bunch of foolishness. Depends on who you ask. Turtle Dove, how you doing? Says Al Sharpton is one of many black sellouts. That's the word on the curb, that he's eating soulless out. You know, it happens a lot, unfortunately. And I don't have time to get into, or maybe I do. We'll see. There's a theory as to why people do it. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. Well, wait, let me get to the other comments and I'll try to remember. Cynthia says, I'm a proud independent voter. There you go. Shan says, is the American government, I think you meant if the American government was a transformer in the president, and the president was a leader of the Transformers, which do you think he'll be? Optimus Prime, Star, Scream, or Megatron? Optimus Prime is the yellow one, right? Yellow, orange, kind of the same. So yeah, that one, Optimus Prime, because they the same color. D-Mac says, what's creepy is that they have access to all our phone numbers without us giving it to them directly. This was implemented through the Patriot Act. They know who and where we are. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that under the Obama administration? Don't quote me. Yeah, they know everything about us. Everything, which is why I kind of have an issue with them not knowing who took the crack in the White House. Y'all know who had that crack in the White House. Because if I brought some crack in my house, which I don't, okay? But if I brought some crack in my house, they would know. I mean, they pew-pewing boats in the middle of the water, talking about, oh, they had some, you know, narcotics on the boat. So y'all can see all that from way up there with, you know, but you didn't know who brought the crack in the White House? Sure. Subliminal. Did I say hello to you? Not hello. It says yellow is Bumblebee. Okay, well then Trump is Bumblebee. Is there an orange one? Because that's the one that I think he would be. Jay, how you doing? Okay, so President Bush is the Patriot Act. Well, thank you for that. And how you doing, by the way? Michelle, he says it was Bush Jr. who enacted the Patriot Act. Okay, so I stand corrected. So anyway, I believe people sell out, is my theory. I'm not saying it's right, especially when it comes to our community, right? So again, you have these little envelopes. And you have somebody like Al Sharpton who is, yeah, you know, black power, you know, down with, you know, the white man. And, black people listening, okay? But there's not, I'm going to tell y'all right now, okay? And there's a lot of people who, and y'all know, there's not a lot of money in black empowerment. And I don't even know if there should be. I'm not saying there should be, but there's just not any, it's not. There's not a lot of money in black empowerment. You know, you're trying to wake your people up. But then somebody says, how much would it take for you to rock them back to sleep? You know, the hope and change, the keep hope alive. And, you know, we shall overcome. How much is it just to do that? But don't do anything else. There's a lot of zeros. Okay. So that's what I think that's there's no science to it. It's like I'm broke. You know, he had a nonprofit. He sounded like he was swindling the funds. And I don't know, he probably got handed that little white envelope to just act like you trying to, because look at the things, I ain't got the time, I swear, but look at the things that he and people like him champion. We going after Target. All right. Okay, we go after Target, but you know that's going to help white women, right? It doesn't matter. We're going after Target because I need something to do, and I need the illusion to go out to y'all that I'm doing something, right? Instead of saying, hey, black people, forget the Democrat Party, forget the Republican Party. Let's build our own party. Let's keep our money to ourselves. Let's build businesses and get our own schools and hospitals. They could do that. They got these very large platforms and pulpits, but they don't do that, which is why I'm like, okay, yeah, they probably took the little white envelope to pretend like they doing that. It's the whole hope and changey thing. Ann Coulter, who's a right-wing person, she said it best. Obama went on with the whole hope and change thing and nobody asked him to define it. Because I know a lot of y'all voted for Obama too, ran around saying hope and change, hope and change. We had the t-shirts, hope and change. We walked into every building with the slogan on our t-shirts, hope and change. But God forbid somebody asked you, what does that mean? I don't know, but I'm hoping to change. So, okay, somebody saying it was Obama. Listen, I don't even know who it was, but let's say it was Bushama. Okay, it was Bush and Obama. I'm just kidding. So before I leave out of here, I love you too, Subliminal. I love all y'all, to be honest with you. Albert Chill says, "Oh, Bush, that's right. Okay, so you was the one that got me tripped up. Okay, so it was Bush. All right. Obama did something to extend it, but I forgot what it was called. So maybe that's why I'm getting confused too. But got you." Troy, he says, Rodimus Prime is orange and yellow. Then it's Rodimus. President Rodimus. That's who it is. Bubble Gum Cat. How you doing? It says yellow is not bumblebee, but wasp. White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. All right. Well, perhaps we'll continue this tomorrow as I have to go. That is my time. I love and appreciate every last one of y'all for being here with me. I'll be back here the same time, same channel. And we'll have another great discussion. I ain't gonna tell you what it is, but it's gonna be really good. But again, if you have not gotten the African Diaspora News Channel app, please do that. Go to your Play Store on your phone and get it as soon as I give you the peace sign. But in the meantime, you guys have a great day. Albie Chill says President Sonny D is crazy. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Peace.